I was literally walking down the aisle when I saw it, the look that passed between them. My fiancé and my sister. One glance, and I knew. 6 years of my life, gone in an instant. Let me back up. I'm 29F, and until yesterday, I was engaged to Jake, 32M. We met in college and had been together for 6 years. My sister, Megan, 31F, had always been close to us. Too close, as it turns out. The morning of the wedding started like a dream. My mom was crying happy tears. My bridesmaids were taking shots of champagne, and I was actually calm. I remember looking at myself in the mirror in my dress, the one I'd spent months finding and thinking, this is it. This is my happily ever after. God, I was so damn naive. The ceremony was at this beautiful vineyard where Jake had proposed. 175 guests. Flowers everywhere. String quartet playing canon in D as I started my walk with my dad. I was beaming, scanning the crowd, seeing all these people who'd come to celebrate us. And then I looked at the altar. Jake was standing there in his tux, and my sister was in the front row. And I swear to you, they shared this look. It wasn't just any look. It was intimate. It was knowing. It was guilty. My steps faltered. My dad whispered, "You okay, sweetheart?" And I just nodded and kept walking, but suddenly I felt like I was moving through molasses. When I reached Jake, he took my hands, but they were cold and clammy. His eyes couldn't quite meet mine. The pastor started speaking, but all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. I kept glancing between Jake and Megan, and every time I did, I noticed something new. How she was nervously fidgeting with her necklace, the one I'd never seen before. How Jake's jaw was clenched. How they both looked like they might throw up. I don't know if you've ever had a moment where your entire reality shifts, but it's like the floor just drops out from under you. Every interaction I'd witnessed between them over the past 6 years was suddenly replaying in my head with new context. The pastor asked if anyone had any reason why we shouldn't be married. The silence stretched for what felt like forever. I looked at Jake and whispered, "Do you have something to tell me?" His face went white. Actually white. And I knew. "How long?" I asked, my voice somehow steady despite the hurricane inside me. The congregation started murmuring. Jake just stared at me, panicked. "How long?" I repeated, louder this time. "Vanessa, please," he whispered. "Not here." I turned to where my sister sat, her mascara already starting to run. "Megan, you want to answer instead?" She started sobbing, which was all the confirmation I needed. I let go of Jake's hands and turned to face our guests. My voice was shaking but clear. "Thank you all for coming, but there will not be a wedding today. It seems the groom has been sleeping with my sister." The gasps were audible. Jake tried to grab my arm, but I yanked it away. "Don't you dare touch me," I hissed. I glided back down that aisle with my head high. My dad followed me, along with my mom and my bridesmaids. Jake's family sat frozen in shock. Once inside the bridal suite, I collapsed. Just shattered into a million pieces. My dad was already on the phone, telling people to start heading to the reception venue. "At least eat the food we paid for," he said grimly. My best friend Lauren grabbed a bottle of tequila from God knows where, and I took a shot while still in my wedding dress. That's when my phone started blowing up with texts from Jake. "Please talk to me. It's not what you think. I can explain. I'm so sorry. I love you." Then one from Megan. "I never meant for this to happen." I hurled my phone across the room and watched it smash against the wall. Somehow, that felt better than anything. My mom was eerily calm, which scared me more than if she'd been screaming. She just sat next to me and held my hand while I cried. "When did you know?" she finally asked. "Just now. On the altar." I saw them look at each other, and I just knew. That's when my dad burst back in, his face contorted with rage I'd never seen before. "Jake's asking to speak to you. Says it was only once. A mistake. Says he loves you." I laughed, this hollow, broken sound. Ask him when this one time was. My dad went back out and returned minutes later, looking like he'd aged 10 years. 3 weeks ago, at your engagement party. He says they were both drunk and at our engagement party? I screamed. The party I'd spent months planning. The party where I'd given a tearful toast about how lucky I was to have both Jake and my sister in my life. The party after which Jake and I had made love in our apartment while I whispered how excited I was to be his wife. I threw up right there on the bridal suite carpet. The hours that followed are a blur. Someone called my therapist, who amazingly agreed to come to the venue. She helped me breathe through panic attacks while decisions were made around me. My bridesmaids formed a protective circle, keeping Jake and Megan away. My uncle, a lawyer, was already talking about getting deposits back from vendors. Jake's best man, Chris, found me eventually. He looked destroyed. I didn't know, he kept saying. I swear to God, I didn't know. I believed him. Chris had been friends with both of us for years. He sat with me for a while, not saying much, just being there. Do you think everyone knows by now? I asked him. Yeah, he said quietly. Your dad made an announcement. I nodded, oddly relieved that I wouldn't have to explain it over and over. Jake's a mess, Chris added cautiously. Good. We sat in silence for a beat. Your sister left. Her husband took her home. I'd almost forgotten about Mark, Megan's husband of 3 years. Oh God, poor Mark. This wasn't just about me anymore. Does he know? I asked. Yeah, he knows. I tried to imagine what Mark must be feeling. Did he suspect something before? Was he blindsided like me? We weren't particularly close. He was quiet, kept to himself at family gatherings, but he didn't deserve this either. By evening, the venue was empty except for immediate family and a few close friends. Someone had brought me sweatpants and a t-shirt to change into. My wedding dress, that I'd loved so much this morning, was crumpled in the corner. My phone had been replaced with an old one my mom had in her car. It started ringing. Jake again. Against everyone's advice, I answered. What could you possibly have to say to me? My voice was raw from crying. Please, Vanessa. It was a mistake. One terrible mistake. You know how Megan gets when she drinks. She's always been flirty, and that night at the engagement party, you went to bed early with that migraine and... Stop. I cut him off. Are you seriously trying to blame my sister? Like you had no choice? Like you just accidentally fell into bed with her? No, that's not. You know what's really messing with me right now, Jake? That you still went through with the wedding. You cheated on me with my sister 3 weeks ago, and then you spent thousands of dollars on flowers and cake, and just hoped I wouldn't find out? What was your plan here? He was crying now. I thought I could make it right. I thought I could be a good husband to you and make up for it every day for the rest of our lives. By starting our marriage with a lie? By making me sit across from my sister at every holiday knowing you'd slept with her? Were you ever going to tell me? I don't know, he admitted. Well, thank you for that, at least. One honest answer. I hung up and turned off the phone. That night, Lauren took me to her apartment. I couldn't face going back to the place Jake and I shared. As we drove away from the venue, I watched my would-be wedding reception hall disappear in the side mirror, all lit up with no one inside. $45,000 for the most expensive non-wedding ever. Lauren made me tea and brought me blankets on her couch. Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want to watch something mindless and pretend today never happened? Mindless, please, I whispered. We put on the Great British Bake Off and sat in silence. But halfway through, I started talking and couldn't stop. Do you think they've been having an affair this whole time? Or was it really just once? Lauren sighed. I don't know, honey. But does it matter? Once is enough. It matters to me, I said. I need to know what was real and what wasn't. She nodded, understanding. Tomorrow we can make a list of questions. When you're ready to talk to either of them, if you're ever ready, you'll know exactly what to ask. The thought of facing either Jake or Megan made me physically ill. But Lauren was right. At some point, I would want answers. Have you heard from Megan? I asked. Your mom texted. She's at her house with Mark. Apparently, he's giving her one chance to explain herself before he decides what to do. I snorted. Good luck with that. Your parents are devastated. Your dad wanted to come over here, but I told him you needed space. I nodded gratefully. As much as I loved my parents, I couldn't handle their grief on top of my own right now. You know what's crazy? I said. This morning, I was so excited to change my last name to his. I had all these monogrammed things made. Mrs. Vanessa Mitchell. And now the thought of sharing anything with him makes me want to scream. Lauren squeezed my hand. One day at a time, okay? Tonight, we just breathe. But I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that look between them at the altar. I kept thinking about their secret, how they'd carried it together, excluding me. Had they texted about it? Met up to talk? Made a pact to never tell me? And what about all the times the three of us had been together after the engagement party? Family dinners, wedding planning sessions, the rehearsal dinner just last night. They'd both sat there, pretending everything was normal, watching me gush about my excitement for the wedding day. The rehearsal dinner. Oh my God. I sat bolt upright on Lauren's couch. My vows, I gasped. What? Lauren had been dozing in the armchair. My vows. I left my vows at the venue. In my purse. They had all this personal stuff in them, things about how Jake was the only man I'd ever trust with my heart. How he'd shown me what true loyalty means. I started laughing, a manic edge to it. I talked about how I loved that he and Megan got along so well. That it meant so much to me that my future husband and my sister were such good friends. Lauren looked stricken. Oh, Vanessa. I have to get them back. I can't let anyone find those vows. The thought of some venue staff reading my earnest declarations of trust and love for a man who had betrayed me so completely, it was unbearable. It's 3 a.m., Lauren said gently. We'll call first thing in the morning. I nodded, trying to calm down. But I couldn't shake the image of those handwritten vows sitting in my purse somewhere, a time capsule from a woman who no longer existed. Morning came after what felt like years. I checked my replacement phone. 47 missed calls. 23 from Jake, 12 from Megan, the rest from family and friends. Dozens of texts that I couldn't bring myself to read. Lauren made coffee and toast, though I could barely swallow anything. What do you want to do today? She asked. What did I want to do? Go back in time. Unmeet Jake. Unplan this wedding. Unlove him. I need to start untangling our lives, I said finally. The apartment lease is in both our names. We have joint bank accounts. All our furniture. One thing at a time, Lauren advised. Let's call your uncle first. He's a lawyer. He'll know where to start. As I reached for my phone, it rang again, my mom. I answered hesitantly. Hi, Mom. Vanessa. Her voice was shaky. How are you holding up, sweetheart? I started to say fine, but couldn't form the word. I'm here. I understand if you don't want to talk to her, but Megan's here at our house. She wants to see you. A surge of rage, so intense it made me dizzy. Why the hell would I want to see her? I know, but she's a mess, honey. Mark left last night. He's filing for divorce. I should have felt vindicated, but all I felt was more pain spreading outward, consuming everyone in its path. Mark. My parents. Friends who had flown in from across the country for a wedding that never happened. That's not my problem, I said coldly. Of course not, my mom agreed quickly. I don't know how to handle this, Vanessa. I'm so angry at her I can barely look at her, but she's still my daughter, and I'm your daughter too, I cut in. The one who didn't cheat with her sister's fiancé. The one who was humiliated in front of everyone she knows. Silence on the line. Then, you're right. I'm sorry. This isn't fair to put on you. What can I do to help you right now? I softened slightly, knowing this was devastating for her too. Can you go to the venue and get my purse? My vows are in there, and I can't stand the thought of anyone reading them. Of course. Anything else? Just tell Megan I never want to see her again. My mom's sharp intake of breath told me how my words had landed. But she didn't argue. I'll get your purse. And Dad and I will help with whatever you need in the coming days. After we hung up, I curled into a ball on Lauren's couch, overcome with a new wave of grief. Not just for Jake and what we had, but for my relationship with Megan. Despite a 4-year age gap, we'd been close most of our lives. She was my maid of honor. She'd help me pick out my wedding dress. All those memories were now poisoned. Lauren sat beside me, rubbing my back as I cried. "It's not fair," I sobbed. "They took everything from me." "Not everything," she said firmly. "You still have you. And that's the most important part." By afternoon, my parents had dropped off my purse, vows safely inside, along with some clothes and toiletries from their house. My dad hugged me so tight, I could barely breathe. "We've frozen the joint accounts," he said. "Uncle Rob is drawing up papers to start the process of separating everything." I nodded numbly. "Thank you." "Jake keeps calling us," my mom added. "Says he needs to talk to you." "Well, I needed a faithful fiancé, so I guess we're both disappointed," I replied. My dad actually smiled at that, a sad, proud smile. "That's my girl." They didn't stay long, sensing I needed space. As they were leaving, my dad turned back. "Megan asked us to give you this." He handed me a sealed envelope. "You don't have to read it." I stared at the envelope after they left. My name written in Megan's familiar loopy handwriting. I wanted to burn it unread. Instead, I shoved it in a drawer. Later that night, Lauren went out to get us takeout, insisting I needed to eat something substantial. Alone in her apartment, I took out my vows and read them through tears. Words like forever and unbreakable and destiny mocked me from the page. Then, against my better judgment, I retrieved Megan's letter from the drawer and opened it. "Vanessa, there is no apology big enough for what I've done. I know you hate me, and you have every right to. I hate myself. You asked Jake when it happened. It was the night of your engagement party. We were both drunk, but that's no excuse. It was one horrible, stupid night that I would give anything to take back. Nothing like that had ever happened between us before, I swear to you. And we both regretted it immediately. We agreed to never speak of it again, to pretend it never happened. We thought we were protecting you. I know now how selfish that was. We were really protecting ourselves. Mark is leaving me, as he should. I've destroyed my marriage along with your wedding. Mom and Dad can barely look at me. Our family is shattered because of what I did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know that Jake truly loves you. What happened between us wasn't about love, or even attraction really. It was alcohol and stupidity and two people making the worst mistake of their lives. I'm going to stay with Aunt Ruth for a while. I can't face everyone here. I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I know those words mean nothing, but they're all I have. Megan. I read it 3 times, searching for something, sincerity, remorse, an explanation that would make any of this make sense. But all I felt was hollow. She claimed it was just once. Jake had said the same. Maybe they were telling the truth. But then I remembered that look they shared at the altar, so loaded with guilt and shared secrets. How could I ever trust that it was just once? And even if it was my sister and my fiancé, the 2 people I trusted most in the world, just once was enough to destroy everything. I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. Then I did something that surprised even me. I took out my phone and called Jake. He answered on the first ring. "Vanessa? Oh my God, I'm calling to tell you that I've read Megan's letter. She says it was just the one time at the engagement party." "Yes," he said quickly. "Yes, that's the truth." "Here's what I don't understand," I continued, my voice unnervingly calm. "If it was just once, if it was such a horrible mistake that you both regretted immediately, why did you look at each other like that at the altar?" Silence. "Jake." He cleared his throat. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do. That look you exchanged, right as I was walking down the aisle. It wasn't just guilt. There was something else there." Another long silence. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. I think we were both terrified, realizing what we were about to do, go through with this wedding with that secret between us. It felt like the room was closing in. I considered this. It made sense in a way. Terror could explain what I saw, but it didn't change anything. "I want you out of the apartment by the end of the week," I said. "My lawyer will be in touch about the rest." Vanessa, please.
We're done, Jake.
Forever. The only contact we'll have is through lawyers until everything is separated. I love you, he whispered. I've always loved you. I laughed bitterly.
No, Jake.
People who love each other don't do what you did. That's not love. It's the opposite of love. I hung up and blocked his number. 2 weeks have passed since the wedding that wasn't. I'm still staying at Lauren's, but I've been back to the apartment twice to collect more of my things while Jake was at work. It felt like a museum of a life that no longer exists. My parents have been incredible, handling vendors, returning gifts, fielding questions from well-meaning relatives. My mom comes by every day with food and sits with me, sometimes talking, sometimes just being there. Megan is still at Aunt Ruth's. Mark filed for divorce last week. Our extended family has largely rallied around me, though some have urged forgiveness. She's still your sister, they say, as if I could forget. Jake sends emails now that I've blocked his number. I've stopped reading them. The hardest part is the dreams. Almost every night, I dream of walking down that aisle, seeing that look between them. But in my dreams, I keep walking, say my vows, marry him, only to discover the truth later, months or years into our marriage, sometimes after having children. I wake up in cold sweats, then feel a strange sense of gratitude that at least I found out when I did. Yesterday, I went back to work. My coworkers have been briefed not to mention the wedding. They treat me with kid gloves, like I might shatter at any moment. Maybe they're right. My therapist says I need to focus on small victories. Getting out of bed, eating a meal, making it through a workday without crying in the bathroom. She says the pain won't always be this acute, that one day it will be a dull ache, and eventually just a scar, always there but not always hurting. I'm not there yet. Not even close. But I'm trying to believe her. Someone asked me yesterday if I think I'll ever trust anyone again. The question gutted me because I don't know the answer. Right now, it feels impossible. But I hope that someday I'll be able to look at someone and not immediately wonder what secrets they're keeping. For now, though, I'm grieving not just the loss of my relationship with Jake and my sister, but the loss of the future I thought I had. The children we'd planned to have. The house we were saving for. The growing old together. Today, I finally took off my engagement ring. I put it in a box with the vows I never got to read and the letter from Megan. Maybe someday I'll know what to do with them. For now, they're just artifacts from the worst day of my life. The day I was supposed to get married, but instead learned the devastating truth about the people I loved most.